Welcome to the second day of Out Summit, our annual global convening for the human rights of LGBTIQ people everywhere, organized by Outright Action International and CUNY School of Law. My name is Maria Shadid, my pronouns are they or she, and I'm the acting executive director of Outright Action International. For those of you who are new to Outright, we're a 31-year-old organization dedicated to fighting for human rights for LGBTIQ people around the world. We have staff in 10 countries and our global headquarters in New York City, same as the United Nations, where we do a lot of our work. We achieve our mission through research, advocacy, and supporting and working in partnership with the LGBTIQ movement around the world. For example, in the past year, we have mobilized to respond to COVID's devastating impact by publishing the first report on the pandemic's impact on LGBTIQ people globally, and launching an emergency fund that has to date distributed over $3 million to over 300 groups in 102 countries so far, with more grants coming in early 2022. This is our 7th year hosting Out Summit, and it is a space where we come together from across civil society, state, and private sector boundaries to strategize, share insights, and collaborate for further progress, because we know that that is something that's crucial to all of us. We still have a long way to go in many places before our human rights are fully recognized. Before we kick off the program, I have a few housekeeping items to share. This has to be a safe space, so please make sure you read our code of conduct, which is available in the lobby. We have a one warning policy. If someone breaks the code of conduct, we give one warning via the private chat function. If it's not heeded and the behavior continues, the attendee will be removed and will not be allowed to re-enter. If you experience tech difficulties, first of all, please check what browser you're using. We have discovered that Google Chrome is the best browser that causes the least amount of tech problems. So if you're using another browser and you have an issue, please consider switching. We also have someone in the tech booth that can support you at the beginning of this session. So you can head over there for help. Most sessions are recorded, but we're only recording the speakers. So unless you're a speaker, you won't be shown. And we will make most of these recordings available afterwards. You can engage with speakers by finding their profiles in the speakers tab and send a message with the start chat button. This is a good idea if you want to ask the speaker a question after their session. And you can also interact with other attendees via the chat window in the lobby or the networking menu that you'll find to the left of your screen. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Gigi Chao. Gigi is co-founder of Hong Kong Marriage Equality, a board member of Outright Action International, and the founder of Hong Kong registered charity Faith in Love Foundation, which encourages volunteerism and the alleviation of poverty through scholarships, resource distribution, and support for marginalized youth. Over to you, Gigi.
Unmute myself. Hello, everyone. Hello, and well done for making it to the second day. Thank you, Outright, for having me and giving me this platform to speak to you, the attendees, my tribe. It's a great honor to connect. Put questions or comments in the chat, and I shall look at them and respond to them if needed. It's the day is here in Hong Kong, 10th of December. Time is 10:05. It's something like Human Rights Day. Am I right? Human Rights Week. And so lots to remember over the past year, the struggles that we've gone through, the sacrifices that our tribe, our people, our friends, our family have made in the name of conformity, in the name of polite fictions, in the name of keeping things going. I think the talks of the past few days have given testimony to a lot of that. Let me tell you about a great friend of mine, Uncle Samson, who's a great friend and mentor. If someone ever needed anything, just ask Uncle Samson. He would always throw his whole weight behind it. He always knew how to help and would never say no. Every time I saw him, he always beamed back the biggest smile and brightened up the room. I would run over to him and give him a great big hug. Inside his slim, towering frame, Maria, you can show a photo of Uncle Samson. He always was the most generous and loving friend, and he elucidated kindness. Here's Uncle Samson and his wife, Greta, and his whole family. It's wonderful to see such a loving family. Of course, he's a straight man, and I forgive him for that. But isn't it great to have a friend and mentor? Uncle Samson recently passed away, and I start with a story of him because we want to remember all those that have departed over the past 2 years of COVID, and we don't have a chance to say our proper goodbyes. It really reminds us of the importance of seizing the day and living in the moment and cherishing those that are around us. He was always very meticulously dressed. You know, I remember one day I was in a local Hong Kong club, and I commented on how perfect he tied his tie that day. He had a gold collar bar and a blue silk tie. And I said, Samson, your tie is perfect today. It's immaculate. He grinned with the biggest smile, sense of pride. The other gentlemen in the room kind of shuffled nervously and glanced at their collars in reflective surfaces and wondered what I was on about. They asked Samson quietly. He wouldn't say a word. He was just humble like that. I think we need to treasure small snippets of presence, of experience that we have with people, especially the elders. I know a lot of people struggle with our sexuality, with our sexual orientations, with our gender identities, with the older generation. And then there are people that are the closeted older generation that are also struggling with coming out, struggling with life in the many years of closeted life, and struggle to find their own sense of identity. I think now is the time to really bite the bullet and find connections with the older generation and allow this sort of disparity of information that we experience between the younger and older to dissipate with better communication. I know it's often the hardest and the most difficult, most emotionally charged aspect of being in the community, to come out to our family, to come out with those who are closest to us, who of course know for the longest time that we're gay, we're lesbian, we're quote unquote different. But the communication channel, the connection needs to be harnessed, needs to be worked on, needs constant work, constant navigation to ensure that we connect. Not one person in this whole world has not been touched by COVID. And in Hong Kong, in Asia, we feel it strongly, although in Hong Kong, we're in this precarious situation. I mentioned conformity, polite fictions. in the name of not rocking the boat, in the name of sweeping things under the carpet and avoiding the elephant in the room. Well, I guess my presence in this, this summit, I'm never one to avoid the elephant in the room, so I do have to confront it. And on Human Rights Day, the question is always China. What should we do? How should we interact? How, as a global citizen, how should we interact with, you know, what we hear in the news and what happens? And for the LGBTI community, how should we confront or understand the issue of China? I guess the best, I'm a student of law, and I've always been taught to go to the source. So I'm going to show you Xi Jinping's Governance of China. And I'll read a little bit from it. You can close your ears if you don't like, but I think it's important to go to the source. On page 503, President Xi wrote in December of 2017. We know it's a little bit dated because this was written in 2017, but he wrote, "Meet the people's expectation for a better life." He wrote, "We should endeavor to build a world of common prosperity free from poverty." He wrote, "We should endeavor to build a world that is open and inclusive, a world free from isolation. The flourishing of civilization and the progress of humanity will not be possible without enhancing common ground, openness, inclusiveness, exchanges, and mutual learning among civilizations, and agreeing to disagree. We should work together to bring down cultural barriers, reject prejudices that stand in the way of human interactions, and eliminate cultural bias that prevents people from engaging with one another. We should endeavor to build a green, clean, beautiful world. The earth is the only shared home for humanity." Well, as the founder of Hong Kong Marriage Equality, I couldn't have said better myself, but I think how we interact is a little bit like praying, right? When we put our hands together and pray, we heed that our prayers would come true, and we pray to the Lord, and while we pray, we are the ones that roll our sleeves up, strap up our boots, and do the Lord's work, right? So I think that's how it works. We hold people accountable, and we also take action. You know, our organization is called Outright Action. I think we can have a better name. Action is crucial, and in action, there's actually many, many layers, and there are many, many nuances, which I'll get to in a minute. Do you believe in reincarnation? I'm agnostic on the matter myself, but I do acknowledge that it answers an important psychological question. Why? Why is this person in pain and that person in joy? Why is this person born with more and that person with less? And how can I let go of this fundamental inequality of just being born different? A fact that we have absolutely no control over. That's where the storytellers come in, the mavericks, the narrators. They tell us what all this means. So much of LGBTI, trans people, so much of our history has been erased from the history books. Now is the time that we put our hands on the keyboard or write with our pen or with a quill, if you like, to get that meaning recorded down. Lobbying, advocacy, activism, whatever you call it, it's all about giving meaning to events. And I think that's where our tribe is very good at, and that's where we have to keep working on. The evolution of Homo sapiens and homosexuals, and the rest of the community, and the collective memories that we hold so dear are all in the form of oral histories. Now is the time to keep that tradition going, but at the same time, keep our current history alive. When I was 6 years old, I lived in the United States, and I went to a school, which I Googled just yesterday. Maria, you can show a photo of my school in New Jersey. It's called Richmond Avenue. And if you show the next photo, you'll see a photo of the current principal. It's an interesting school, Miss Shelley Williams. When I was there, I was 6 years old, and I was at the school, and my father, who's this kind of larger than life figure, flew from Hong Kong to New York and wore this kind of head to toe fur, like this black shiny fur, and rode his limo from New York all the way into New Jersey to Atlantic City, where my school was. And then he met with my principal. So not unlike Principal Williams in that photo, but I don't remember her name now, but substantial personality, sort of pink brown rimmed glasses, as you would expect in the area of mid 1980s. And you know, we listened to Beastie Boys and John Bon Jovi. But I remember my principal being quite shocked to see this figure called my father show up in his limo, and everybody kind of looked out the window and said, "Oh wow, there's a limo, there's a limo." And they said, "Oh, is it the president? Is it the president?" And I thought, "Oh dear father, it's him." But you know, that's his life. He lives like he's in an R&B video now, but you know, back then that was his life. All these embellishments, to me, they are symbols. And symbols are important. They're very important. They give us clues about how to interact with one another and the environment. But we need to find ways to let these symbols propagate. And so that our own symbols be ones of inclusion and not exclusion. If I am to give any snippets of direction of how to prepare ourselves for the weird and wonderful world of tomorrow, one of the biggest transformations of the past 2 years, apart from COVID, has been the digital transformation. And I would say we need more representation of the LGBTI community within tech as well. So those of you that are already in it, great, but learn coding, be part of the movement of the infrastructure, and protect our institutions. It's like learning a new language. But from there, the world of open source technology is at the same time generous and exhilarating, and given patience and perseverance, very rewarding. There's a huge shortage of talent in the tech sphere, and so become a developer. And from there, you'll find even more resources and mind-bending opportunities at your fingertips. I was given the time allocated, so I think I will end with a quote from Marie Curie, who said, "Nothing in life is to be feared, it is only to be understood." Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less.
Thank you so much, Gigi. That was a wonderful quote to end on. Thank you so much for joining us here today at OutSummit. It's really a pleasure and an honor to have you here.